cricketnews.com in partnership with Bharat Army, India's official fan club, presents the Indian Presence League. Episode 5, our last one in this series, and boy, I've thoroughly enjoyed doing this, talking about these great gifts in form of individuals that the IPL has given to us. So who do we talk about in our last episode? Talk about someone who has been the most successful player in the league, the most successful captain in the league, has 4 titles as a captain, 5 as a player, has scored more than 5,000 runs with the bat, and has played about 200 IPL games. We are, of course, talking about hitman Rohit Sharma. But has Rohit Sharma been a gift that IPL has given to us when it really should be the other way around? Because it was Rohit Sharma and the Indian squad's performance in the 2007 T20 World Cup that led to the birth of this revolution called the Indian Premier League. He was also part of the CB series winning squad in early 2008. But would we have been able to see the Rohit Sharma that we do now had it not been for the IPL? Who's to argue that? Many tend to forget the player that he was in those early days, but we really shouldn't, because it is part of who he is today. And he scored more than 1100 runs for his first team in the IPL, Deccan Chargers, in the first 3 seasons. And what makes these runs all the more important is that he wasn't opening the batting back then. Remember, Deccan Chargers had stalwarts like Herschel Gibbs and Adam Gilchrist opening, so these runs seem all the more important when you consider that factor. Also took a hat-trick for them back in 2009, which is the season when they won the IPL, was a key player for them, and it is really hard to make a batsman forget his bowling statistics, as would be the case with Rohit Sharma. But what about the Indian squad? He wasn't a regular starter for India back then, because if you remember, Gautam Gambhir, Virender Sehwag, Sachin Tendulkar was still serving Indian cricket, and as far as the ODIs and Test cricket was concerned, there were just so many big names that even a talent as good as Rohit Sharma wasn't someone who was added in every single tour, every single series or every single tournament that India played. But then came the year, the single biggest catalyst that has made Rohit Sharma the player he is today from what he was back then, 2013. And we've talked a lot about this year in this series, haven't we? It opened a lot many doors for Rohit Sharma. He was asked to captain Mumbai Indians midway through the IPL 2013. Remember, Ricky Ponting was the in charge before that, but then MI decided to take a different path, and they haven't had to look back at that point since then. Rohit Sharma, the captain, has made sure that MI always hunts for the trophy at the end of the season. He has lifted it more than anyone else in the history of the league, and Rohit Sharma, the batsman, has ensured that there is no shortage in his run scoring. A more significant event in Rohit Sharma's life happened a few months later, one that would change the landscape of Indian cricket's future for the coming years. There was no opener when India reached England to play the Champions Trophy 2013. There was no one to bat alongside Shikhar Dhawan at top of the order. We weren't really sure about that. And who was asked to do that in the first game against South Africa? Rohit Sharma. Remember, he hasn't done that at a stage as big as this, but then he goes on to score a half century, stitches a 100-run partnership with Shikhar Dhawan, and it was an inception to the dynamic duo of Gabbar and Hitman. And what a partnership they have had over the years. But that wasn't it for Rohit Sharma in 2013. The love affair continued as Australia travelled to India for a 7-match ODI series, which was then turned into a 5-game ODI series because of 2 matches being washed out. And in the series decider at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, Hitman arrived in full form. His first of 3 double hundreds in the format, and what an innings it was. It was the first glimpse that we saw of a batsman who is more dangerous after he scores 100, and he has gotten only better. He scored another double hundred the next year at Eden Gardens against Sri Lanka, which, if we are to take the word of the people who were there attending that match, it was like Rohit Sharma, if he had gotten only 2 more overs, would have gone on to score 300. He has 3 double hundreds in one-day internationals, 4 centuries in T20 internationals, which is also the most by any batsman in that format. And in the last 3 complete cricketing calendars, he has scored more than 1,000 runs for India in one-day internationals, which also includes the World Cup of 2019, where he was batting almost like he was playing in a school tournament, with this one kid who's always looking good with the bat in every single game, except that it wasn't a school tournament, and Rohit Sharma was performing on the grandest stage in cricket, and he did achieve a feat which I think will stay with him for a long time. But when a batsman is that good, when a player is that good, there are always challenges thrown upon him. And if there's one challenge left for Rohit Sharma to overcome in cricket in order to become one of the all-time greats, it is Test cricket. He made his debut, guess what, in 2013. No one can forget that match, that series, Sachin Tendulkar's farewell series, his 199th test at the Eden Gardens, and Rohit Sharma scored 177 runs in that match. But he hasn't been able to capitalize on that success. He has been unlucky with the injuries as well, but Rohit Sharma himself knows more than anyone else, that he can do more justice to him, more justice to his caliber in the world's toughest format, which is why I'm really excited for India's tour to Australia. And I think watching Rohit Sharma bat in Test cricket will be a great prospect in the world's toughest backyard. There's one thing which intrigues me the most about India's number 45 these days. The way he has been able to see off the transition period at Mumbai Indians. Remember, he was surrounded by these legends, Sachin Tendulkar, Ricky Ponting, Kieron Pollard, Lasith Malinga when he was given the captaincy in 2013, and he led that lot to their first ever title win in his first half season in charge. Cut to now, there are these great young individuals who are doing really good for MI on a consistent basis, and it is only because of the way they've been made to feel welcome in this squad. And MI are actually one of the better managed teams, not just in IPL but in franchisee cricket, but it wouldn't have been possible had it not been for a captain like Rohit Sharma. Which is why I think his role in Indian cricket will be immensely important in the coming time. With an array of youngsters arriving onto the scene, trying to do good for their country, trying to make a name for themselves, trying to leave a mark, you would just want someone to go to them, put a hand around their shoulders and say, young man, enjoy your cricket, do the best and do the right thing. Everything else will follow. And that is where I think Rohit Sharma will come in, and that is why I think Rohit Sharma is a beautiful packaged gift that the Indian Presence League has given to us.